What's up, YouTube? We're back. We're back this lab with Advanced Loan Credit Services. First thing I want to say is, hey, stay safe out there. Make sure you're social distancing. Let's keep it safe. We're not through this pandemic yet, so start working out at home, go on a little jog, get some games with the kids, do your social distancing, and just take care of yourself. But we have an exciting class today. I think this is a very important class people really never talk about, and it's the FICO scores. What are the FICO scores? How do they grade certain things that are on your credit report? What are the different FICO scores? We're going to get in all that. We're going to get in all of the Fair Isaac system. We're going to talk a little bit about the history. We're going to get into it. We're going to get in this information. It's definitely good information because it can help you know what lenders you want to deal with. Do you want to deal with this lender? What scoring module do they use? Oh, they use that scoring module. I got this on my credit report. I may not want to use them. Hey, so it's a lot of good information going to come out of this. A lot of good information. So YouTube fam, get ready. This is going to be another powerful class with a lot of good information people really don't talk about. And I guarantee you after this class, it's going to open up your eyes. So you know the deal. We got to get into what? We got to get into what? We got to get into what? Come on, YouTube. What we got to get into? Let's get into the intro, please. All right, we're back. Hey, this is a very exciting class about FICO. A lot of people don't talk about and get deep into FICO, but I told you, Advanced Loan Credit Services, we digging over here. We're digging for real information to give you positive so you can make better financial decisions. All this information is free, and we're going to be digging in steady, completing, giving you what you need to know and understand about credit. Make sure you understand about what you need to do to just improve your credit. Just improve. Credit is everything. It's our heartbeat. Like if you're not taking care of your heart, you should be taking care of your credit. It's all about, do you want to invest in your future, in your retirement, or do you want to invest in somebody else's? If you got bad credit, you invested in somebody else's retirement and future because they're going to be tagging you with interest. They can determine where you live, what kind of car you buy, everything. I'm telling you, it is everything you need to know. You need to know everything about credit to improve yourself. So we're going to get into this FICO. We're going to talk about the history of FICO. What are the scoring modules? What are different between the scoring modules? How you can go through between lenders, just things that were just eye-opening about FICO. Right, and we're going to give you some deep information about FICO. We're not going to just talk about, 35% of your score is through payment history, 30% of your score is through utilization, 15% of your score is through length of credit. We're not even going to get into all that. We're not going to get into all that because all that are baseline scores and they can vary based on what information that you got reporting. It is not an exact science saying 30% of your score, 30% utilization, you're going to get this particular score, this particular boost. There's no exact science. We don't know the algorithm on it. All we can do is give you somewhat, and they're not going to give that out. That is the secret sauce, like Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's the secret sauce. They're not going to give it to us. But there's a lot of information out there to help you make a better informed decision dealing with lenders, getting mortgages, all that other type of stuff. Understand why scores are different. So a little bit, scores are different with different scoring modules, and we're going to talk about that, right? So just base, you got an Experian app, you got a FICO app, you got and let me say, we're not talking about advantage scores, that stuff. Nobody's 90 to 95% of lenders use FICO. They don't even use advantage, right? So I tell people Credit Karma is good. I want to get this out the way. Credit Karma is good. It's an information source, and you can see what's going on with your credit weekly. But that score, if anybody shows you a score from an advantage score, from the difference between an advantage and a FICO could be 100 points. They could be showing you a 720 on Credit Karma and have a 620 FICO score. So don't get caught up in the advantage score. Oh, I got a 700 on advantage, and then you pull a FICO, you got a 660. I mean, it's just not the same. You really need to be concentrating on what is my FICO score. But I'm not telling you don't use Credit Karma. Credit Karma is great because you get a weekly update. You know what's popping in, popping out of your credit report. You know what your utilization is. It's an information source. But don't get caught up in that score. That score don't say nothing. Don't throw it out. Toss it over there, the score, right? Just use the information that's provided. Use that as a source. So we got that out the way, because I don't want nobody ask me about no advantage score and all that, because nobody uses that. You go to the bank, and the funny thing about it, some of these I got credit cards and stuff, they're going to give me a free credit report, but it's an advantage score. But they ain't run no advantage score when they gave me credit. They ran my FICO score. So it's crazy that they give you a free advantage score, but to get credit, they run your FICO score. Just think about that. But anyway, back into it. We're going to talk more about this FICO, and I'm going to break down some eye-opening stuff for you, things that you can do, questions you can ask before you even apply for a loan. All right, we're going to go into all that type of stuff, and it's very educational. So definitely pay attention. Definitely pay attention to this. I do have some other videos, collection accounts. Going to have one that I posted earlier this week. Go back, listen to it. If you got some collections, if you could tell me the code words in there, I will send you a copy of a restrictive endorsement letter. It's a great settlement tool, and an affidavit was really a good when you're trying to get validation, make sure they're owning the debt. So just go back to that video, watch it, tell the code words, email me the 2 code words, and I'll email you those documents so you can go ahead and work on your credit. That's free information. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up. I'm going to always be coming out giving you positive information, real information from real research, not just something that's been passed on from 500 other people saying the same information all the time. I'm bringing you real information, deep information. So hit the thumbs up, powerful information. So FICO was founded in 1956 as the Fair Isaac Company engineered by William R. Bill, and he was a mathematician, and Earl Jones Isaac. FICO went public on the New York Stock Exchange back in 1986. So just so you know, you can buy a FICO, you can go ahead and invest in FICO stock. And as I started really digging into FICO, that's a pretty good stock. So probably something I'm probably going to add to my portfolio. Fair Isaac, yeah, they have a stock. I was kind of shocked by that because I'm kind of new to this stock thing, but I have been learning a whole lot about it, getting some books, reading, following people that can learning how to read balance sheets and all that type of stuff. But it looked like it's a pretty good stock to get into, and I think I'm gonna get into it. So just a little bit of that. But in 1980, FICO was created custom scores for lenders based off credit bureau data. So this started in 1980, right? This started in 1980. And then basically, it was developed as a score to help pre-screen potential borrowers. That's what it was. It was a system that they felt like, hey, we need, probably people were defaulting on loans, people were defaulting on debt. And somebody said, hey, we need to come up with a scoring module because we're giving people loans that we should not be giving people loans to. We need a better scoring module that could basically forecast a potential person that may default on a loan. That's what the Fair Isaac. It's all about, gauging potential borrowers and if they are more likely to default on a loan. In 1989, the first general purpose score based on Equifax score was debuted. 2 years later, TransUnion signed up in 1991, and the FICO score was available to all three credit reporting agencies. So in 1991, it went live. So that's when all the stuff about credit started getting hot and heavy, right? There are 53 FICO risk scores being used by lenders today. 53. Scoring risk, meaning they're taking certain information that's on your credit report, evaluating the risk of a borrower, and should we give them a loan based on that information. 53 of them that are used by lenders today. So don't get caught up in the score. I tell people, even in my industry, they want to talk about I can raise your score 100 points. It is not the score. The score would take care of itself. I preach this all the time. It is, how do I create a solid credit profile? Because the score take care of itself if you just create a positive profile. Don't get caught up in all the score stuff. I try to preach that. I preach that all the time. Get out of that score and then look at what is reported on my credit report, what is negative, and how could I eliminate this off my score, and what do I need to do to make this a stronger profile. The score take care of itself from there, right? So that's the approach you need to take. That's the ticket, right? So now let's get in. What is the difference between all the FICO scores? And we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what are the difference between all the FICO scores, right? And what is FICO score, right? What is FICO score? FICO score is just, like I say, it's a risk system, scoring mathematical system that determines how risky of a borrower you are. How risky of a borrower that you are. Borrowers have a number of credit modules that they use, right? Lenders have a number of different ones they use. So I'm gonna give you an example. Some people get frustrated. They go buy a car, right? Say they have the Experian app, My FICO, those apps right there. They're on the phone and they go and they say, my score is a 660, right? Okay, I should be able to get approved for a loan. I got a 660. Then they go into a dealership. Dealership say, okay, well, we're going to have to run your credit. They don't care what that phone say. They don't care none of that. They don't care about none of that stuff right there. So they're going to say, you fill out this application, and then they're going to run your score. And then they're going to call you back in the office. You thinking, hey, everything good. And then they slide this on and say, well, we ran your scores. TransUnion say you got a 613. Experian say you got a 620. And Equifax say that you got a 618. And you're looking down and you're like, well, my FICO score say I have a 660. That's where the modules come in. So what happens is each bank that they send, that's why they shotgun your credit report. They send it to all these different lenders. Boom, they just sending them out. All these different lenders, they send it. And every lender has a different risk factor that they have within their system that says, are you a person, what is the potential that you may default on this loan? And then this bank may say no, this bank may say yes, but then they may, instead of you getting 7%, they give you a 10.9. This bank says no, this bank say yes, but they may give you a 7.9. And that's what the car dealerships do. Because they don't know who's going to approve you because they're looking at your credit score. Now, if you have an excellent credit score, you got a 750, they all going to say approve, 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 approve. And as long as your debt to income is not super high, you're going to get approved, right? But we're not talking about the people with this excellent credit. We're talking people with marginal credit, right? And then they go in there and they say, yep, you got 10 inquiries, They ain't gonna tell you got 10 inquiries until you start getting all them alerts on your phone from everybody running your credit report. But when you find out they ran 10 inquiries and maybe 2 banks approved you, and then they just went with who gave you the best rate, right? Because they have different scoring modules, different scoring modules. And based on that information that was on your credit report, that's how they did the risk factor. So now let's get into a little bit of the difference, right? So these different versions exist with, this FICO dates back 25 years of history. FICO. Now the actual, it's just been around. It's people really don't understand it. Nobody knows the algorithm. It's like the secret sauce, right? Like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Nobody knows the secret sauce or the secret recipe or whatever you want to call it. Don't nobody know it, right? So that's how the credit reporting. Nobody knows the exact. Your score could drop 10 points and you're trying to figure out what the hell happened to my score. I paid this stuff down. Nobody knows what's going on and what particular area they picked that they failed and made you a riskier borrower at that time, which lowered your score, right? It's hard, but so they give us some little standards of, keep your utilization, make your payments on time, don't close any accounts. You want to have at least 7 years. Build up to 7 years is typically excellent for the length of credit. Get a mixture of credit, have a mortgage, installment loans, credit cards, all that stuff. Keep your inquiries low. Don't apply for a bunch of credit. But, we'll talk about some of that other stuff in another class on how that, but just so you know, late payments, and this is a little bit off track, but it has to affect with your score. Late payments after 2 years really don't affect your score, but it's still an indicator that you were late. Inquiries don't affect your score after 12 months, but it still shows on your credit report for 2 years, right? So there's certain indicators on there that stay on your credit report longer, but it doesn't mean that your score is being affected by them, right? So there are several unique features that make FICO Scores. So let's talk about FICO 8. This FICO 8 was introduced in 2009, so it's a pretty old FICO score based in 2009. It attempts to convey the reasonable and effectively an individual borrower interaction with debt. Meaning, FICO 8 engages more on how do you deal with debt. Do you keep your debt low? Do you have a lot of debt? Do you have is your utilization really high? Do you have a lot of different loans and stuff going on at the same time? It scores you on how you deal with debt, right? The scores tend to be high for those that pay their bill on time, keep their credit cards at a low balance, and open new accounts for target purchases, right? That's how you can make sure that you overcome the FICO 8 score. And that's what's graded. If you have a lot of late payments on FICO 8, your score is going to suffer. If you keep high credit, if your utilization is high on FICO 8, it's going to suffer. So FICO 8, those are the areas that really grasp and really affect your score in FICO 8. The other hand, if you got lower scores, contribute to those frequent and delinquents over the use of the credit and high utilization, your score is going to dip. So, if you got high utilization, you're just not taking care of your credit, late payments, FICO 8 is really going to punish you. Now, a lot of people don't know this. Powerful information. If you have a collection that is less than $100, FICO 8 it ignores that collection. If you have a collection account that is less than $100, FICO ignores that on the score. But let's get some back. But lenders will see that you have an open collection, which could cause them, not based on your score, because it's a whole, when lenders run your credit report, they just don't look at your score and say, hey, they got a 700, so he's approved. They look at everything on your, the whole picture of your credit report. So you could have a nice credit score, but a certain lender may look at them open collections and say, even though they're less than 100, FICO 8 is ignoring them, but it's an open collection, so they still deny you because you still have open collections. So that's why I say don't get wrapped up into the score. That's not what you want to do. Don't get wrapped up into the score. You got to get wrapped up into what does your credit report look like. That's the main thing. So definitely that's powerful information. It's not going to affect your score, but it still could affect you getting approved and not approved because it's an open collection. So my main thing is I don't like anything negative. Anything negative on your credit report is an excuse for lenders to charge you more interest and get more money out of you. So it's better to get rid of. If you got collections under $100, there's no way they should be on your credit report. You should be having them jokers off your credit report. Pay them jokers, get them on off of there, and keep it moving, right? It's no reason for you to have that little bitty collection lingering on your credit report, because the amount of money you're going to be losing on interest is unreal, right? So you don't want to do that. All right, FICO 8 is the most commonly used FICO score, but there is a FICO 5 that's an alternative to FICO 8, right? And it's more popular with auto loans and mortgage providers and credit card companies, right? FICO 5, right? So it's an alternative. So one thing you can always ask your lender when you're applying for a credit card or any kind of, hey, what scoring module do y'all use? What scoring module do y'all use? I can tell you, and this is, I keep it real on here. I'm retired military, so I applied for a credit card with USAA, right? And they had FICO 5. And then I applied for a credit card with Navy Federal. They used the FICO 8. USAA denied me. Navy Federal gave me a $15,000 credit card. So just on those different scoring modules was the difference between one bank saying yes and one bank saying no. So you should always ask any lender, what FICO score are you going to use? So even if you're going to a car dealership, it's always better to get your loan before you walk into one, because you can ask all those questions and alleviate all the inquiries. If you just go in, try to find your own bank, ask the question, what kind of scoring modules do you use? Understand how that FICO score is going to evaluate what's already on your credit. Is it going to really score the collections really harsh on your credit report, or is it going to kind of ignore collections on your credit report? You got to ask all those questions, and you can make a better informed decision on what lender you want to go with, right? FICO 5 exclusively from Equifax. That's Equifax thing, FICO 5. TransUnion used FICO 4, right? So not only do you have the different FICO scores, now you have different credit bureaus using different FICO modules, which could cause why your scores are different between the three, because they don't all use the same scoring module, right? So FICO 8 information is the collection of all three. And I forgot FICO 2 Experian. So you got FICO 2 Experian, FICO 4 TransUnion, FICO 5 Equifax. Now FICO 8 takes the information from all three. They take the information from all three and then come up with a utilized score, right? So just understand you have FICO 2, 4, and 5. Each one are with three different credit bureaus. That's why people always ask, well, my score is different between Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Is because they all three use a different scoring FICO scoring module, which because they're graded differently, your score would be differently. Okay, so you just want to make sure of that. You definitely want to make sure of that right there. So sorry, I got to make sure things are going right up in here, man. It's trying to slow me down, but we back on track. So that's what you want to look at. You got to look at the three scoring modules of why your scores are different between the three. If you run your three scores between those three, they're all different. I've never seen nobody with the same across the board. They're all different. I mean, they may not differ from a lot. One may say 615, one may say 618, one may say 625, right? But they're all different because they grade you differently, right? One reason mortgage providers, especially banks, check this out, especially mortgage providers, especially banks, use 5 or 4, right? Instead of 8 or 9, which is the 9 is the newest one, right? The reason they do that because the earlier versions are less forgiving for unpaid collections, especially medical debt. Did you hear me, YouTube? Did you hear me? So I'm telling you, mortgage companies grade collections harder. And if they're medical debts, yes. That's why you can go in the same thing when people going for a mortgage. They go in there with their credit score, say, I should get approved. I got a 660. All I need is 640, right? And then they run their FICO 5 or 4, whoever the lender is, and then they got collections. So now their credit score is a 610, a 615, a 625, and they don't qualify. And the other reason because they run 4 or 5, because typically when you're buying a home, that is a much larger loan, right? A much larger loan. So they're just more careful with giving out. They don't want to be giving out mortgage loans and then you default going foreclosure, right? So that's more stricter. And anybody that bought a home, they know it's definitely more stricter when you're trying to buy any kind of property. They want to make sure that you're going to be able to pay that note every month. That's why they're big on debt to income ratio. They want to make sure they're not putting you in something you can't afford, right? So, you just got to be understanding these FICOs, these FICOs, how they're graded, what they're graded, how they're graded, which one you may want to use, ask all those type of questions, right? There's something people never talk about. And if you can find somebody that say they talk about this, let me know, because they ain't digging. They ain't digging like Advanced Loan Credit Services, right? So there are different FICO scores. There's one called normal FICO, and it's versus industry specific FICOs. You can look all this up. I wouldn't just tell you stuff. This is looking into something that can help you improve your credit score, right? Real information that can help you, just more than the 5 different errors that can tell you that is on every credit report. And this stuff right here is not on there. And this stuff can help you make better informed decisions, right? Normal FICO, you can write this down, normal FICO versus industry specific FICO. There is another distinction between normal or base scores versus industry specific FICO scores, right? Base versions like FICO 8 are designed to predict the likelihood or not that you will be paying your bills as agreed on your future credit obligations. That is what normal or base FICO scores, and that's what FICO 8 is. It's a base FICO score, right? And it's there to predict the likelihood that you may default on a loan, all that other type of stuff, right? Are you in the future, would you default on that specific loan, right? Industry specific FICO scores are single out types of credit obligations such as car loans and mortgages. They eliminate that. So that's why FICO score is a FICO 8 is just more commonly used. But believe me, there are other lenders that may not use FICO 8, right? So they may use FICO 4, right? They may use FICO 5, which grades a little bit harsher, especially if you have collection. But you just got to ask the question. They should be able to tell you what FICO score they use. That's not a secret. So you should be able to do that. So side note, this is a side note. Just that borrowers have more than one just credit score. Each property has a dozen or hundreds of scores depending on which things companies and lenders choose. What scores they choose, what model they choose, how are they grading certain risk factors. So again, you just don't have those 5 areas. There's so much more to your credit. When I said there's 53, there's so much more to grading your credit report, right? So you need to understand that to be able to prove. And for me as a, dealing with, credit consulting, helping people fix their credit, you got to dig deeper to understand all this stuff to really improve people's credit, right? To really improve their credit. Because you can just eliminate negative stuff, but don't build. The score is only going to raise so much. You got to be able to handle credit. That's what it's all about, right? So we didn't talk about FICO 9. FICO 9 is a new scoring module. Now, FICO 9, it's a little harsh on unpaid medical collections, right? But they also in FICO 9 let you add like your mortgage, not your mortgage, let you add like phone bills and cell phone bills and stuff like that to try to help boost your score, right? That's what FICO 9 does. But FICO 9 also looks at, hey, a lot of people will get a loan. Say you got FICO 8, they'll get a consolidation loan, and then they'll take that loan and pay their utilization down, right? And then their score jump up on FICO. Now, FICO 9 looks at that to see, are you taking money and moving money from one area to another, right? So they may grade you. You may not get the boost that you would get in FICO 9 if you took out a consolidation loan and then paid all your credit cards down. You may get a boost, but not as much as you would if you did that on a FICO 8 scoring module. So those are the little things that are different in FICO 9, right? So that's something else you may want to look at if they're using. Most people are still using FICO 8. They came out with this FICO 9 and they talked about it a lot and it just kind of dwindled away, and it hasn't really caught on lenders right now. So, but FICO 9 is similar to FICO 8, but differs when it comes to collection and rent payments. You can add rent payments in FICO 9, but that don't do anything for FICO 8. They don't care about your rent payment. They like buy a home and then we can talk, but we ain't dealing with the renters, right? So FICO 9 counts medical collections less harshly than other accounts in collections. So a surgery bill in collection will have less of an impact on your FICO score than credit card bill in collection. So if you have a credit card bill in collection, it's going to be graded harsher on FICO 9 than a medical debt. Again, with all the FICOs, just pay attention to ask the question, know the different FICOs. You have FICO 9, which is the newest, but it's not really being used across the board with lenders. Most commonly used for auto credit cards. It's mostly used for auto and credit card. FICO 8, FICO 5, mortgage lender from Equifax, FICO 4, mortgage lender from TransUnion, FICO 2, mortgage lender from Experian. So those are kind of the FICO scores. I hope this really gave you. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share. I'm trying to, I'm really working hard to give y'all good information. Subscribe to the channel. Share the channel. Hit the thumbs up. Leave a message, right? Talk to me. Tell me, if there's a class that you want me to cover, I will cover it for you. Anything you want to know about credit. What are the best starter cards? I'm gonna have a class on that. How do you want to build your credit report? How do you want to build your credit report from scratch? How do you build a credit report out of bankruptcy? When should you start building your credit report out of bankruptcy? All that stuff is information I'm gonna bring to you, positive information that'll help you out, really get your score where you need to be. So I'm just trying to give it to you with some good information. Give you positive, that solid information that you can use, you can actually work, you can actually do, right? So this is Larry with Advanced Loan Credit Services. Please, please, please subscribe to the channel, share the channel, get this information out. Just give out any feedback you want to give feedback to. Just do whatever you want to do. Just come back and let me know how I'm doing. I take criticism, but it's always a building tool, just always to get better, always to get better. So again, Advanced Loan Credit Services, you can email me at lcoleman at Advanced Loan Credit Services with an S. You can leave a message in the description. In the comments. Check out the description. Like I said, I have a Facebook page, learn how to remove negative items. So if you got anything you want to add to it, any class that you may want me to give you that can help you out with your situation, hey, please let me know. I'm more than welcome to do it. So, hey, hope you enjoyed this class. I appreciate the time you spent with me here. It's much appreciated. Much appreciated. So, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And then we're out.